It is showtime back for another Spice episode. I do it in the morning, do it in the afternoons, and it's easier for the title, so I'm just calling it Spice now. This is obviously afternoon Spice, depending on where you are in the world. Thanks for joining. You're crazy for joining this wild, wacky, awkward podcast. I go by Osiris, the channel's middle mega. And what's your favorite Broadway? Anybody, any Broadway fans out there? You've got, there's a lot of just musicals. I love the sound of music. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I mean, I don't want to sing and hurt your ears, but if I hear the sound of music, I sing the songs. A Spoonful of Medicine, like Mary Poppins, My Fair Lady. And what other ones are the classic ones out there? Jesus Christ Superstar. We just talked about Fences in a live previously. Great Broadway show. And you're no different if you're Hillary or Chelsea. You're going to want to go out. Laura Livingston, thank you. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. Thank you for stopping by as always. Got the heart emojis going. That's good vibes. And, Hillary, Chelsea, they're no different than anybody else. You might think that they're monsters, but they're just humans. And you can call them whatever they are. So they went to a Broadway show, and then I saw this headline here. It's like, okay, cool. They went out to the Broadway. What happened? What was it called? What's the name of it? Hillary and Chelsea went out to a Broadway show, and a fan took a dump right by where they were sitting, allegedly. A serial pooper has been stalking the halls of the legendary Shubert Theater, and the last time they struck, a turd appeared in the aisle near Hillary and Chelsea Clinton. What was the name of the Broadway play that they were at? Some Like It Hot. And the first thing that came to my mind was I used to live in Minnesota, and we would walk our dog it was literally -10 plus wind chill when we're walking. And young Jeezer, come on, you got to be. We had good vibes going in the chat. The young Jeezers, hopefully they stepped in it. young Jeezers, I hope it was runny and it got up on their shoes. I wouldn't shed a tear. Let's just say that. I used to live in Minnesota. I'd walk my dog. But my wife and I both, we'd walk our dog because we had a border collie. Those dogs they go crazy if they don't get at least a little walk. They have to get exercise, especially when they're used to getting it all the time. Would take them out, or her out at the time, the dog, and walk around the block. It's so cold, your eyes hurt. And I used to actually believe it or not, when she would take a poop and I would have to pick it up because I would take my glove off to get the bag on and it, so I didn't get it all up on that. And it was actually warm. It would warm up my Some Like It Hot. It would warm up my hand. I'm being dead serious. And I'm like, for like 5 seconds or so, did I wrapped it up. So I always picked up the poop when it was -10. Who cleans this stuff up? How do they do this? I know in San Francisco, they got the Department of Poop Cleaning. Do you have to hire your own poop cleaners? It looks like the realities of our clown world right up at the doorstep of Hillary Clinton. Now, if you are a serial pooper, what I would suggest to you is not poop by Hillary Clinton. That's not the one to do it by. And do you think this was an accident? It would be a hell of a coincidence if this was an accident. Hillary Clinton, she was teaching it was at Columbia? I forgot. She's got a class at Columbia, and I joked, that might have been the live when friend of the show, River, was on. And I joked, what's the course that Hillary Clinton's gonna teach? How to murk a nigga? That's not the professor. That's not the person I'm gonna poop by if I'm a serial pooper, just hypothetically, allegedly. A source close to the show insists that it was a regrettable one-off incident. I'd say so. Last week, when they were in the audience, the lights came up for intermission. And, it's dark in the theater. You got the atmosphere. They probably saw a good show. And it was just intermission. So, that's a good time to get up, use the bathroom. They got up, and right there were two human turds in the aisle just near the famous political duo. That's why they don't go around the peasants very often. The House crew dealt with it very appropriately and quickly, and Hillary and Chelsea remained in the theater for the second act. The first insider says that after the most recent incident, an eyewitness spoke to the House manager who said that it was actually the fourth time it had happened. It looks to me like we're talking about inside the building. Like, what is going on? This is how crazy our world has become, and it's right at the doorstep or the aisle of Hillary and Chelsea. But another insider said that there is no alleged phantom of the poopra lurking around, and that it was just an accident. Of course, it was just an accident. Who hasn't gone to a Broadway show and had to step over a pile of human feces? It happens to everyone. Let me know what you think. Thanks for stopping by. Just had a couple seconds, and poop was on my mind. We got all the serious stuff going on in the world, and people's retirements getting shell-shocked, and Brandon being a willing participant in that, in my opinion. He vetoed a bill. He vetoed a bill that had bipartisan support. This is very unusual in our times, our political times right now. He vetoed a bill that had bipartisan support and I haven't read it, so I don't know the exact details, but the bill would have said you can't prioritize ESG. Now, ESG I am very familiar with. I've done deep dives on it. And, I haven't done as many deep dives as I used to. It is probably because it does take a lot of time, and is the payoff worth it? And it's not even about views. It takes a lot of time, and I got family and other things to attend to. But I will, when I get time, do deep dives. I might be setting up to do some writing and getting the blog going on the website, middlemaga.com again. But, yeah, Biden, he vetoed the bill. Very unusual that this happened. And let's go and cover that real quick. We knew he was going to. He let that cat out the bag on it. And this is his first veto. Pretty crazy that this would be his first. This is the issue that of all the vetoes or all opportunities to veto, this is the first time that he comes out and uses it. Let's go to the Hill for a little bit of detail on the story. Biden issues first veto, rejecting bill to reverse ESG rule. If you don't know what ESG is, it is, I don't have a definition for it yet. I know what it stands for. Environmental, so all the climate, weather stuff. Social, so that's all the cultural stuff. It's basically, and then governance, it's basically the structure in which those in charge are going to try to bypass your vote legislatively to impact companies and finances. One of the biggest struggles about our country to many powerful people is that they can't make quick moves and they can't control big businesses in one swoop like they would like to. How do you do that? You do it with the power of the book, your purchase power. And ESG is embedded with these very big asset management firms. We've talked about them a lot. You've probably heard them a lot. BlackRock and others. They own percentage of all these major companies, and they demand to see ESG, which it does. The social part does express itself in wokeness. So it is institutionalized. How do they institutionalize the woke? It's through this. And the House and Senate voted on this. President Biden, on Monday, yesterday, issued his first veto since taking office, rejecting a bill that would have reversed a Labor Department rule on environmental, social, and governance investing. I just vetoed my first bill, Biden said in a tweet. And, of course, you got to spin it. And when you deal with politics, he says this bill would risk your retirement savings by making it illegal to consider risk factors MAGA House Republicans don't like. Notice he had to label it as MAGA, We have a new party, a new political party that is making a lot of moves right now. Not many people in the House or Senate, less than 10, probably 6 in both the House and Senate, none in the Senate. MAGA-friendly people, but no MAGA in the Senate. And the president he doesn't say Republicans anymore. It's ultra MAGA. It's dark MAGA. It's extreme MAGA. I like that a lot. This is a good white pill moment right there where he can't even say the word Republican. That is a third party that has taken over a political party, and they are here for it. I like it.
I want to take a few seconds to respond. That was great. We are addressed as MAGA extremists, extreme MAGA Republicans, and I would like to make just a clarification point. It's ultra MAGA. That's what we prefer.
So, Brandon, next time you address us as ultra MAGA, and we'll be happy with that. Continuing on, whether your plan manager should be able to protect your hard-earned savings, whether Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene likes it or not. So who does he talk about? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Whether you like it or not, she still does represent MAGA. So they issued a rule stating that money managers can weigh climate and weather and other ESG factors when they make decisions for retirement investments on behalf of clients. It replaced a rule from the era of President Trump that the Biden administration said discouraged consideration of ESG factors, even in cases where it is in the financial interest of plans to make such considerations into account. You mean the same type of situations that woke ass bank went bankrupt? They were worrying about women's this, and they donated allegedly $70 billion over to Black Lives Matter type groups, and they had to go defunct. You mean that type of stuff? If you're worried about financial interests first, then you don't need to put any qualifications about ESG. But they take advantage of the citizens' ignorance and they go on. You just need 2/3 vote in the House and the Senate to overturn a veto and pass a bill without a president signing off. But that doesn't look, to my knowledge, they don't have the votes to do that. Thanks for joining. Just got a little bit, little topics, just a couple topics, a little something here. Greg Wilson, friend of the show, thank you for always coming by. The name for your video made me start laughing out loud at a stoplight, and I think the people next to me think I'm crazy. Yeah, and when you look at the feedback, maybe you could call it fan feedback for Hillary. If you don't know what, Greg, you probably saw the title of the video if you're watching, but a fan took a dump right next to Hillary and Chelsea. You could call it fan feedback. If you want to call people deplorables, maybe they might need to do something deplorable. Just relieve themselves right in the aisle and just give you that constructive criticism in the shape of a turd. Thank you for drive safe. Greg Wilson, thanks for listening. Let's be franking. Oh, let's be frank. Oh, man, I like when everybody's royalty. So I don't want to pick and choose people, but let's be frank is that, dude. Sub up to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Let's be frank. Why is it every time I'm acting a fool, people like Black Pegasus and No Spoon Podcast come on through? Like when I was talking about some old nonsense on TikTok, and then all of a sudden Che from No Spoon Podcast came in. I'm like, damn, I've been talking about all kinds of serious topics or whatever. Let's Be Frank comes back. What's the topic when Let's Be Frank comes up in the chat? Poop. But no, I'm just playing, man. I appreciate you coming through. Oh, there's so many little topics I just want to hit on, and it was the poop one, and then I do want to touch a little bit on what's going on with the Trump stuff, and what we're seeing is in Manhattan that most of the protesters, at least this is via Raw story. I'm going to show this article here. Most of the protesters are anti-Trump right now. That's a good sign to me. If you want to protest, please don't get me wrong. But I just hate to see people protesting in the belly of the beast, like when they're waiting for you. I mean, you ever heard of J6? But anti-Trump protesters vastly outnumber MAGA supporters outside Manhattan Courthouse via report. Anti-Trump demonstrators were out there early this morning. I haven't heard anything that went down, but let me know if I'm missing something. Outside the Manhattan criminal court, where former president's rumored to be charged as early as Wednesday. Again, the day doesn't matter to me. The fact that we're talking about this is the troubling part. According to Politico, around 20 anti-Trump demonstrators were on scene. The whole city is an anti-Trump city now, for the most part. It's either anti-Trump or too afraid to say you don't hate Trump. So if you look at it, the anti-Trump or the afraid to speak people vastly, in my opinion, who knows, vastly outnumber the ones who are willing to put on a MAGA shirt or whatever and proudly say I'm this or that. Jurors heard what was believed to be the final witness Monday, and no votes have yet been taken after Trump's prediction this weekend that he'd soon be indicted. And we're seeing this. They wanted to trump it up as a, no pun intended, as a circus, and we're getting that circus vibe. And what my takeaway from this is I don't want to participate in this being a circus. That's all I wanted to talk about, so let me get that off. I don't want to participate in this being a circus. I want to hear people talk, because if they can't talk, I mean, like politicians, if DeSantis or whoever else, Nikki Haley and them, if we don't have people who are politicians at the state level or not in the federal government, if they can't talk, then there's no action that can happen. It's possible that action could be being done behind the scenes, but I highly doubt that. You need to be able to see them, because a lot of people said, hey, they talked, now what? I agree. It's not just about talk. I'm not here for a circus, so I'm not here for protesting. Just don't even, what does a protest do? I'm not against your right to protest, but sell me on what it does and what's the purpose. What do you hope the protest to do? Let's look at strategy, local level, and then get the talk ramped up, and then get that talk into momentum for action. I'm not an organizer. I wish the left were on our side on this. They're the best organizers. They know how to rock and roll when it comes to getting up. Well, they do more like in the streets, and I'm not looking for in the streets, but they seem to all move as a group. That's that collective mindset. So I don't want to have that all the time, but it does help them in these type of situations. Let me know what you think about that one. In a not surprising turn of events, the same people who sold you as defunding the police, or tried to, they probably haven't sold many people up in this chat about it, but San Francisco defund the police Democrat demands more cops as crime surges. I want to make it clear that I believe strongly in defunding the police and reducing the number of officers on our force. But it looks like they are living, just like Hillary and Chelsea, they're living out the consequences of what they believe in, is what it seems like to me. My wife was actually in San Francisco recently, and she said there were some areas where it wasn't all bad, where she was like, there's some areas where you could see it's better, some areas where you wouldn't even walk, because you can't, they're the zombies out there. You can't walk through them on the sidewalk. You would have to go in the street. And those are areas that I would rather not have a loved one running through, especially if it's potentially by yourself. Hell no. But when you look at this, Hillary Ronen, a San Francisco Democratic district supervisor, is calling for more policing to deal with the out-of-control crime in the city, even though she was one of the advocates to defund the police in 2020. During a meeting of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on Wednesday, Ronen advocated for adding more police officers to the Mission District, which is in the 9th District, which she represents. And she has slammed the San Francisco police chief in the past, and for spending a lot of overtime on anti-retail theft program rather than increasing the police presence. Part of the problem you're seeing out there is the police. I never knew my whole life how much power prosecutors had. I had no idea. The law is interpreted by them, and they choose whether to charge or not. So the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, just as an example, two people could commit the same charge or the same alleged crime and could choose to prosecute one and choose not to prosecute the other. And as long as you're in lockstep with everybody in your state, then you can do whatever you want to do. I had no idea. I've watched Law and Order my whole life. I don't know why I never kind of connected with me until we had this cultural. So it didn't matter as much until we had this cultural divide where some people don't know what men or women are and they want kids at sexualized shows. That's the cultural divide we've got. And with that, now when you can pick and choose who to charge and you see the fortification in the election process, Arizona, they had to make sure that they got a Dem AG. A Dem AG doesn't have to look into any of the alleged fortification down there. If they had a MAGA AG, then they could go in or, they could go in and prosecute. That is, and then, so, allegedly Soros funding. I think it's beyond alleged at this point. I've done a video on it, but it's hard to trace it because a lot of time it's Soros adjacent. So you got to be careful, which is really Soros, but technically it's not. It's funny how they play these games. A lot of dark money you can't trace, but there is money you can trace out there. So smart of him at just going after the DAs. That's how you can kind of create chaos, be an agent for chaos, and create the change that you want, even though if as evil as, in my opinion, it might be. Let me know what you think. Yeah, there's a big, I think this is true. This is big BS. Thanks for stopping by. It says can't wear masks in NYC due to the uptick in crime. I saw a sign. I didn't read much about it, but I saw a sign where it said no masks allowed at some store based on that. I like that. Absolutely. We need to get back to that. It's crazy. I remember the first time I had to put on the muzzle. I texted my brother. I was like, I feel like people are going to look at me crazy because I got a mask on and you're trying to hide your face. So there's breaking news. I do have breaking news, everybody. Let's take a look at this and do a digression. Breaking on trending politics news. Breaking: Trump will be indicted. Trump indictment set for Wednesday will be told to surrender. My goodness. I haven't read the article. I don't even know what to say. I don't. It's surreal. This is a surreal moment that we're even talking, whether it's true or not. And it's funny how Trump said, let's take a look at the news here. It's funny how Trump said it was going to happen on Tuesday. Then a lot of people, non-MAGA people, even Viva Fry, were like, oh, if it doesn't happen on Tuesday, then it's an embarrassment. Then after Trump had said it was going to happen on Tuesday, there's this surprise win. I didn't hear anything about that until after the Trump announcement that there was going to be a surprise witness, giving them another day to get the barricades. We saw the barricades. We knew it was coming at some point, potentially. And now it's pushed to Wednesday. Now, I think the way that the schedule works, I think I heard it was like Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday or something like that when the jury meets or whatever. So I don't know how the legal part of it goes, but it almost came across as let's not make it Tuesday because he opened it up and said it was going to be Tuesday. We might be here. I'm just seeing this. This is a new article here. I have to change the title of it. The title of the video is talking about Hillary Clinton and poop, and we got this. This is a definitive start to this article. Okay, it's Daily Mail. So I like trending politics, but let me just go to the source that they got it from. Because outside of that, then you're really just doing what I do with blogs. No diss at all. But let's go to Daily Mail. Why are we going to the UK for stuff like this? That is not what you'd hope from American journalism, but I'm sure it's elsewhere now. But I'm on a site from the UK talking about this. Here we go. Exclusive: Trump will not be arraigned this week. Former president expected to be indicted tomorrow, and Secret Service will make plans for a surrender or an appearance in New York next week. Okay, so I was confused here. So the indictment is when they're going to do it tomorrow, and the Secret Service will make plans for his surrender and appearance in New York court next week. So we are now in a new stage of politics where there's nobody on the non-left side that has the cojones to do this exact same thing with any big name figure, but that is what needs to happen. I don't want to get in. I'd rather have a peaceful divorce, but we do have to get into the tit for tat. I mean, at some point, if I'm out in the street and somebody just comes up and just has a little punch or whatever, I'm gonna have to. Sometimes you got to punch back. I mean, it's not ideal. It's not in the frame of libertarianism, but to me, it's defense. It definitely. I am not the aggressor here. I am not the aggressor. The left is obvious. They are the escalators. They are the aggressors. But it looks like we're kind of here, everybody. Donald Trump will likely be indicted Wednesday. Former president, who is currently in Florida, is expected to be formally charged tomorrow, after which the Manhattan District Attorney's Office will reach out to Trump and his Secret Service detail to make arrangements for his surrender. Man. Wow. He will then fly to New York, where he will be arraigned, fingerprinted, and pose for his mugshot. I've been calling for this peaceful divorce. I don't know what. If you don't agree with the divorce in the chat, please help me understand why. What are we doing right now? The only way to save this country is to split it apart. And I know that means I don't want to glamorize the idea of divorce, because when we talk about this national divorce, we're dealing with an abusive spouse, and that is anybody who aligns with this blue Democrat cabal. They are the abusive spouse, and in many cases the abusive spouse, when the other spouse wants to leave, the abusive spouse doesn't take too kindly to that. I understand the risks. We need to get that. That ball takes a lot of time to get in motion, and we haven't even gotten in motion. We haven't taken over. I need Arizona. I don't know how they do it. I need Arizona. They need to take over Maricopa County and somehow, I don't know what the legal process is. I'm not looking for any type of violence or anything like that. Whatever the legal process is, and you got a Democrat governor, so I don't know what you can do, but you got to figure out how to do that. That's why they didn't want Kari Lake as there was a big reason why. You can't sell me that Kari Lake wasn't at least a 10-point favorite over Katie Hobbs. There's a lot of reasons why they didn't want Kari Lake there. Immigration, the border is one of them, but I think this moment is one of them too. Kari Lake has more cojones than Ron DeSantis. Kari Lake would have, I guarantee you, Kari Lake would have been like, Pappy. Oh, Ron DeSantis, I thought he had big dick energy. Obviously he doesn't. Come over here. I ain't a transformer, and Kari Lake is beautiful as well. I ain't a transformer. She would never say that, but I'm a beautiful woman, but I still have that big dick energy. I don't have the equipment, but I've got the energy. Come on through to Arizona and New York. If you want to have problems, then come on through with these problems. I would bet money right now that Kari Lake would do that. Ron DeSantis won't. And I don't want to just pick Ron DeSantis. What other Greg Abbott, what are you doing? What are y'all doing? People sold me some people tried to tell me like Greg Abbott was whatever he was. Now we're finding out. There's no way. There is no way that Trump should go in fingerprint mugshot. Absolutely not. Well, this is it. At some point, there has to be a line drawn. If we're not going to draw a line here, where are we drawing the line? I mean, it's not like this is the only incident. We're coming off the Mar-a-Lago. I'm not going to go through everything. We're coming off the Mar-a-Lago. We're coming off after the fortification of 2020. we're coming off of big ticket issues like this, the pandemic, deep state, administrative state. Not can't even mention every little thing from the FTX to SVB to the. I mean, it's just so many Black Lives Matter. It's just so many things. Billions upon billions of dollars against the populist right. Billions of dollars spent going after Trump. The line needs to be drawn here. That's what needs to happen now. I don't know why. I mean, I'm in a Dem-controlled state, so I'm more at risk. But I was gonna say, write your state legislative body, but they ain't gonna work here. You're gonna have to move. But this one's not a fun discussion, but I think it is pertinent. And I just said you might have to move. And when I say that, I mean that. I mean it like your life depends on it. I really do. This one is graphic in nature. Warning. This is not bloody, not gory, but this is a verbal assault on a subway. And I got different takes on it than other people. I'll let you know what my take is.
Faggot ass Caribbeans back to them motherfucking. Take them back to Europe with y'all. Yeah, me too. Yeah, Caribbean, African shit.
So what's happening is this dude, which people tell me, if you're just listening, there's a black dude with a beanie on, headphones, with a phone. There's a white couple sitting down, or they look like a couple, man and a woman and a child, a little looking child sitting down, not even up to the shoulder of the man and the woman sitting down. There's other people on the subway train. That is important to note. This is another subway video where you see people, one dude's sleeping, one dude's right there just listening to the conversation or whatever. Somebody else has their cell phone out. And we don't know how the beef popped off, but we know that there's some type of beef between this dude standing up. Skin color, I'm not bringing up race in this one here, but just to paint the picture, if you're listening, black dude standing up and white looking couple sitting down.
Gay ass gorilla looking. Shut up, your ugly body. Nasty ass.
It looks like he's looking at the kid. I don't know what he's looking at. And I don't know why people online were telling me like this dude does this a lot on videos. Like, what does that have to do with it? Was this funny? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Mutating, permutating, corrugating, etiolating, skin. Shut up, your body don't even last long enough.
It looks like he's talking to the kid. The male adult is sitting down looking away. It's just weird.
I'm gonna look younger than him by the time he's my age. I don't care about them ugly ass kids in your race. Shut up. Fucking plastic ass body.
What? I'm live. What's up? My wife came down, so I'm live, but I'm gonna continue the video.
Little debilitated, innervated, emasculated people, incapacitated, indisposed, emaciating, attenuating, tenuous body. I don't care about you. Shut up, you white monkey. You a dog in this country. You're a fucking dog. You're nothing over here. You are a dog. Shut up. I'm Black American. I'm over you.
Okay. I don't find it funny. And I don't know if other people were trying to make it sound like it was funny. And it's a disturbing video. But I'm going to tell y'all, I don't mess with these type of areas anymore. You won't see me going through these type of urban city subway type situations. I've been not on trains, but public buses, growing up. I've seen a lot of stuff. I never seen anything like this. And my take on it is, I didn't bring up race in it. Some people brought up race, and I don't know where they got that from. I'm not afraid to bring up race. I didn't bring up race with this one. But, if you want to have that discussion, we can have it. But for me, the bigger takeaway is get out of these areas immediately. This is not a drill. Your life depends on it. Now, let me say this. There is the concern because what happened with the left was they saw videos like police brutality, things happening, and made it into, in my opinion, something bigger than it was. So there is that danger of that happening here. But here's what my takeaway is, why I feel this is a little different. If you look at it, on the subway, there's nobody doing anything. Nobody's saying anything. There's a little kid involved. I don't care what happened before that. what popped the beef off or whatever. That's a grown adult yelling down at a little kid. There's no situation where that's okay. And the big takeaway for me is you can't be in an area that someone feels comfortable doing that. Race doesn't matter. Swap the races, change the races, make them all green aliens. It doesn't matter. One of the most natural instincts of life, I watch Naked Afraid with my wife at times. And we used to watch it all the time, but don't have as much time now. But it's good because it kind of, you watch people, and the naked part doesn't, I mean, we don't even think about that. It's like animal instincts. It's like, and it's all blurred out, but the first thing that they do is, so if you don't know Naked and Afraid, they just take a man and a woman, they have no clothes on, drop them off in, they might give them some flint, but no clothes, flint in a bucket to heat up water, and they go in the jungle or wherever else and survive for what, I forgot what it was. I haven't watched it in a while, 30 days or whatever, 2 weeks or something. And the first thing they do is find shelter. I don't want to find shelter in an area where somebody thinks that that's okay to do. Where I live right now, that couldn't happen. At least where I live right now. Now, you can go out to the city or wherever, and that obviously could happen. But where I live right now, oh, no. With a kid there, there's nobody, I guarantee you, nobody's standing by. There would be serious problems. It doesn't matter, race, whatever. Serious problems of, you need de-escalate, you need to calm down, bro. And that's just basic survival instincts. Let me show you some of the feedback. This is not a drill, man. This is serious stuff. So I understand it could be anecdotal, but that area is it's just not for me. And I hope that's not controversial. John Boatwright said, I'm convinced that some people are so angry they are ready to unlive. What are your thoughts? I thought that was a very interesting comment. I didn't expect a comment like that. I said, I think you're right, and I want to be as far away from those people as possible. Somebody else said, bring that ish to my wife and I will oblige. I think that's what I would want to do in my head, but my first thought is de-escalation. You don't know what type of martial arts people know, or depends on how good you are with that, and who has heat, who has not, who has a knife, who does not. I want to get to de-escalation and get out of the situation. I would be more defensive, but I don't blame you. Let me just say that. No, I don't blame you at all with if your reaction is, let me go ahead and eliminate the threat. Like that's how serious that is. You don't go up to any animal in the wild, and that's all we are. You don't go up to any animal in the wild when a mother bear, especially now, a mother and father are there with the cub, and you do some threatening stuff. That's not going to fly. But let me show you that how people take this. I didn't say anything about race about this one. And you know I'm not afraid to talk about race. New Age hippie, got no beef with Lake Parade. We don't see the world the same way. We've had good interaction, so no beef. But a New Age hippie said, you can find plenty of videos of this dude doing this to multiple people. Okay, what's your point? One dude does not define a whole race. Who brought up race? Like, do you want people judging you based on his actions? I am judging the people in the subway car based on his actions. I don't want to be in a place where if I see something like that, like, bro, calm down. You know why I would do that? Because that bro's a threat to me too, in part. So I'm like, bro, calm down. And I'm not worried about that heat coming to me, because obviously that heat's going to come to me at some point. Because me and him, I'm not feeling the situation. So I don't like to escalate things, but I'm not going to watch. I did a video about when a cop was fighting a dude, and I need to revisit that. And I was like, nobody helped the cop. And I didn't articulate myself well, but I think the biggest reason to help the cop is the cop has a piece. And the dude fighting, I don't know who's right or wrong, but he goes and takes the piece from the cop. I don't know what he's doing with that. So I either need to flee the situation or, get both of them kind of subdued so I'm safe. He says, do you like people judging you based on his actions? I have no problem with that. I think that's a mistake to make, but if you want to judge me based on his actions, that's your survival instincts. I'm going to disagree with you, but No one backs what he's doing. What does that have to do with my take? My take was get out of these areas immediately. You see how bizarre these replies are? These people are uncomfortable with looking at a situation and saying, yeah, something doesn't sit right with me. And then I replied to that, of course, because I was like, wait a second, who brought up race? So I said, who brought up race? And then he brought up the people who follow me. I said, who said anything about race? He said, look at the people who are following you. I'm going to end with this. So he's kind of saying, I don't know what he means by that. That's basically the end of it. I said that's a weird way to not answer my question. Somebody liked a tweet that had Scott Adams. What does that have to do about race? Because Scott Adams said black people away. Okay, whatever. I didn't say that. I liked the tweet, but I like tweets that call me all kinds of names. And then I really like MAGA Crat, and we follow each other. And MAGA Crat was like, I follow him, and then said, I can tell. Here's my takeaway. I don't care about your black ass or his black ass. He can be a threat that's eliminated, and I wouldn't care at all. I don't see the world like you, so it's very likely I don't care about you because you're black is what I should say. I care about everybody just as a citizen, but I don't care about you more or less because of the color of your skin. And obviously, if that's my position, then people who are at least open to that are more likely to follow me. So I don't know what you mean by that. But these city areas, it's not to be played with, man. What we're seeing here, not to be played with. And, I only dabble in the city, going there to maybe a restaurant or stuff like that. But I don't really like to dabble in the urban areas too much. Things are getting too crazy. Notice with that incident that I played, I don't want to play it again because it's pretty graphic. It's a harsh moment. Notice there's no push to find out who. I'm not pushing for that, but I'm saying we've seen videos where we've seen very mild videos where a woman will go up with a guy and have beef with him, and it's usually like a white woman or whatever having beef with a black guy or something like that. The video goes violent, and what happens? 10 minutes later, they know where the person works, their name, and everything else. Notice there's no push for that. There's a cultural, I don't know what it is. Maybe that is where you can bring in race. I don't know, but there is no push, and I've seen that push in the past. And the same people who do it in other cases to get people fired and all that, they don't do it in this case. At least I haven't seen it. So the environment creates more of that. So why is it controversial for me to say I just don't want to live in that area, even if I'm wrong? Why is that controversial? I didn't say all people act like this. I didn't even bring up anything like that. I just said, I'm good. I'm going to live in a different area. It's exactly what Scott Adams said, but he brought race into it. But what's wrong with me saying, I don't want to live here? Your life, I don't know where they lived, but their lives were in danger. I don't know if you think that dude doing a skit or whatever is funny. That wasn't funny. So let me know what you think on that. Let me look at the comments in here. Troy Mafia, what's good? Man, the comments are pretty harsh on it, and as they should be. Dan Plemick says, whoever ends him is a national treasure. Yeah, that is peak F around and find out. You do that with the wrong person, man. Terrible. Greg Wilson, terrible. Looks like the couple sitting down has a suitcase. I didn't even notice that. Yeah. Big BS says Orange Man couldn't take the swamp down. The swamp is not going to give him another shot, in my opinion. Yeah, because he did try to put stuff in motion that might do something. And, when you do a new job, he'd never been in politics. It takes a time to learn it. And actually, with him being in office 4 years, then having a break, basically, and then going back, that might be the perfect perspective to have a good second term as well. If you're a Trump supporter, you could try to make that case. And that might be another reason why there's many reasons they don't want him in there. It pretty much confirms a lot of my thoughts. I don't think, you think Trump is, paid opposition? this is a big theatrics if he is. It could be, but I don't think he is. I don't see enough to say that he is. I don't see enough to say that he is any type of fake actor. I just don't. I just think he's flawed like everybody else. Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz making more moves in D.C. Like to see it. Exclusive, rotten to the core. Matt Gaetz, House Republicans, to introduce legislation rejecting new FBI headquarters. This is good. I'm not very good on follow-up videos. I need to get better to follow up on, okay, because I've talked about, I called it the woke headquarters of the FBI. He wants to reject this new location. Let's revisit it. Florida Matt Gaetz and 5 other Republicans. Here we go again with another white pill. I don't know exactly who they are, but I'm going to guess they might be that same ultra MAGA group. So Matt Gaetz and 5 other Republicans will introduce legislation Tuesday that calls for the House to halt all spending allocated towards the FBI new headquarters outside the District of Columbia. This is, when I say it's a woke headquarters, I mean it's a woke headquarters. The Daily Caller first obtained the legislation, which is entitled the FBI Washington Field House Office, the FBI Washington Field Office House Arrest Act. He names his bill pretty funny because they don't have any chance of passing anyway at this point. But it is a good good discussion in December 2022's omnibus package when Nancy P. was Speaker of the House. Congress voted to allocate $375 million. That's probably just the start. I'm sure that thing's going to go over a bill for a new FBI headquarters. Gaetz and the GOP lawmakers do not believe it should be built. We don't believe it should exist, the Department of FBI, much less have a new woke headquarters. There are reportedly 3 options for where. We've talked about that. There are still good men and women at FBI. That's not, nobody's saying that there's not, whose task and purpose is to defend our country, but FBI's weaponized Washington field office is rotten to the core. Through our investigations in the weaponization subcommittee, which is good because they're using the subcommittee to say we justify taking the spending away. They're thinking this stuff through. We have uncovered extremely disturbing testimony from FBI whistleblowers. So he has the legislation here, and I'm all for it. And it's not a long thing here. I think that's the end of it. Yeah, it's it's just making sure that no money goes to it. I like those simple bills. Let me know what you think. Is Matt Gaetz going to be able to stop the woke temple? Is he not going to be able to do it by himself? We're going to need to support. I don't even know how that looks. Let me know how. I'll default to whatever you think is best. Money can, but you don't need just money. Other things as well. So if you're just tuning in, the breaking news is Trump will be indicted Wednesday, and I don't even know. I don't really have much more to say about it. We deserve it. We deserve it. If you're just tuning in, let's go back to this breaking news. It's kind of, we've been prepping for it, and what do you want me to say at this point? Really, maybe I'm just not articulate enough to kind of fully go through the emotions, because right now it's really an emotional thing as well as anything else. But this is my Twitter blue articles. As you can see in the articles, everybody's breaking it, DC Patriot. And this is really what I should be putting on my blog and getting ads on there, but I'll hopefully get to that. But Trump to be indicted Wednesday, but will appear in court next week. So we're getting definitive news now. It's funny, all these people who are trying to say Trump was unfounded with his rumors and all that. What, Trump's just going to make up a rumor about him getting arrested for what? To raise money? You don't think Trump needs to do that to raise money? I don't know how much it helps him like other people do. I don't know if I'm sold on that. I think it helps with the rabid base, or not even the full base, like maybe anyone that would go to support a Trump rally, that base. But with normies, how do you think this plays with normies? Normies don't know what's going on. They think Trump's a criminal. That's what they're playing to. They're playing to the normal American that just doesn't know what's happening. I did the live, and a lot of people didn't even know what the charges were, what's going on. They're still doing stuff in Georgia. You could see the DOJ. DOJ could go after them for J6 stuff, the document stuff. Georgia's doing all kinds of stuff that I haven't covered yet, some new stuff, racketeering and all that. So it looks like we're going to be in a state of chaos. We're going to be in a state of chaos, and it's not good chaos. I think good chaos would be trying to have a national divorce, but that's not what this is. This could lead to a national divorce, but this is an effort towards it. Effort towards a true, authentic, genuine national divorce would be worth it. Would be good chaos. This is bad chaos. This is power that's unfettered. Now, what I would say with Trump and DeSantis are getting into a heavier battle, I think, with Trump's indictment. And I think this is more for DeSantis. I don't think that DeSantis has got to figure out how he's going to navigate this. I think now would be a good time for him to announce, I'm not running for president. So then he won't have to address it as much, if it, at all. I'm a Florida governor. Because he hasn't gotten off to a good start. But he could flip saying it was rumors, now it's real. Still not good enough for me, but he could flip using that as an example. Now that I don't know if these are rumors. They seem, these are still considered rumors. They're saying likely to be indicted. So it's still not 100%. Like, it's not a statement. Unless it's a statement from the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, then it is allegedly, it is a rumor. The threat to our country is not just what's happening from the left, but it's what the forced reaction is from the non-left. And I even said it earlier that you've got to punch back in a way, figuratively, not literally. I mean, like the same thing in the court system. And DeSantis or whoever shouldn't extradite, let's fight it out in the courts. We're not going to have Trump taking mugshots. But the other thing is authoritarianism. Dan Plamick says, if Trump is arrested, I somehow think that's going to make him more powerful in the eyes of the public. With normies, how does it make him more powerful with normies? I don't know. Pretend like it's somebody who doesn't follow politics. If you don't follow politics, you see Trump get arrested, you'd be like, oh man, this guy's a clown. You know. I don't know how that plays. I don't know if I agree with that one. I'm not getting that feeling like it's just going to bring him into it. But let's take a look at Georgia. Georgia legislator bans child sex changes. The bill passed by a vote of 31 to 21 along party lines with 4 non-votes. So I've talked about Georgia being a blue state, and they've got a red governor, they've got the legislative body, but then they have 2 blue senators, which is very, it's a purple state if you want to be accurate. But to me, it's either you're MAGA or you're not, basically, as a state. And you're not. But they are banning this. And now the focus has to move away from this, because this is the culture issue. Like, is this a big, are you really that? Georgia's become the latest state to pass a bill banning doctors from prescribing cross-sex hormones or conducting surgeries related to gender dysphoria diagnosis on minors. Is that a big thing, a big bill for you right now? Is that big on your mind right now? I like the parental education rights bill, that they had in Florida. That's bigger picture. In fact, I don't even agree with this bill. I think if it's up to a parent, a doctor, and the guardian, child, and a doctor, then they should be able to do whatever they want to do. But who cares? Whatever. But the threat is you focus on the wrong things. You go authoritarian on this. But the Georgia state legislative body, they're pretty powerful. They could push the governor to saying, hey, we should be a safe haven. We should at least offer to be a safe haven state for Pappy. That's more important right now. You all are out here. I know this has been in the works, and it was on March 17th, but you passed this bill, and now I need to see that same energy on a topic that's much more big. And really, this stuff should have been happening with the J6 unconstitutionally held prisoners. They are a bigger priority than Donald Trump. So I have concerns if you got energy on hormone drugs or whatever, but you don't have the energy on this issue where we really need your energy. We really need to hear from you. I want to take a look and see if we've got any type of news coverage on this. I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't know if they're going to do any breaking news. To me, it is breaking news. It's big news, but I'm not seeing any breaking news live on this. So I'm jumping in right now just to see if anybody's talking about it. So let's go into let's listen to MSNBC for a second, see what they're talking about.
Essentially saying that Michael Cohen is a liar, cannot be trusted at his word. You heard Vaughn there say this was a little bit of a Hail Mary. From a legal perspective, was that what it was, or could there be a real impact here? Could it slow down the process?
Yeah, I find that unlikely, Kristen. So New York State has a quirky law, something we don't have in the federal system, that permits a defendant, or in this case, a subject of a grand jury investigation, to ask that the grand jury hear from one of their witnesses, somebody who will tell the grand jury why he ought not be charged, or in this case, why the grand jury ought not credit one of the government's witnesses. So it's a little bit of a quirky procedure. Remember, though, grand juries only need to find probable cause, a relatively low standard. By the way, it comes from the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution in order to issue an indictment. So, yes, it's a bit of a Hail Mary. I would be surprised if it worked. I imagine that the prosecutors have put in lots of evidence far in excess of the probable cause standard that they need to meet in order for the grand jury to return what we call a true bill, a valid indictment.
And just thinking about Michael Cohen as a witness, you have said before, witnesses do not have to be priests and nuns. What is the relevance or significance of a Michael Cohen being interviewed by a grand jury and playing a role in that process?
Yeah, Kristen, look, I wish when I was a federal prosecutor that all of my witnesses were nuns and librarians. That would have made it easy. But that's not how crime works. Yeah. And so it's not unusual at a criminal trial to have a criminal testify about the crime. So when you have that, when you have an inside criminal source or someone with criminal knowledge or culpability, you wouldn't predicate a case entirely on that person. That would be risky. But you would try and have that person corroborated by documents and other witnesses. So this case won't rise or fall solely on the testimony.
Let me break away from this here. There are reactions on Twitter right now. And one of the new things that's going out or going around is AI. So you can use, I don't even know which programs. I use ChatGPT at times. It's very good. If it were updated, it would be excellent. Oh, I'm sharing here. Let me break out of this because anything Trump arrest is trending on Twitter, and I don't have safe search on, so you could see anything under that hashtag. But what I wanted to show is the AI pictures. These are the images that they want to go viral. The left can't meme, so they create a situation where you can do these type of pictures. If you're just listening, there's a bunch of cops holding Trump, kind of dragging him in. Another one where they're kind of dragging Trump. They look kind of realistic. It's AI. It looks like AI generated pictures, like all the cops have basically the same face, almost like the Matrix, but they're kind of picking Trump up off the ground, like Greta Thunberg, ones where Trump's running away from the police. Trump's on the ground, surrounded by police. AI-generated photos. And that's one of the new age, man. 2024 is going to be wild with the deep fakes, AI-generated photos. It's going to be the first major election where that's going to be a big piece of it. A lot of the memesters are using them, and the left needs it. The left can't meme, so they need it. Here's some other pictures of it. There's a lot going on in the world. I know people are saying it's a distraction, but I don't know. I don't agree with that. I think this is the number one thing. I think this is bigger than one of the big stories that I haven't even covered is the poor policy of America pushing Putin together with Xi Jinping. That's one of the most dangerous things that's happening right now. And I think this is more important. I mean, the reason why that we're pushing them together is because we don't have enough control of our country. Our country, a lot of people have gone rogue. There's a AI, it could be AI generated picture of a black cop, white cop, males kind of hugging with Trump in the middle, kind of subduing him, I guess. I don't know. It's a weird looking picture. A lot of people are doing these pictures. There's a whole thread of them. This is what they want. This is they're out for political blood, literal blood, as you heard Jane Fonda. More pictures, Trump yelling with cops on the other side. They've got more pictures. This person's just kind of doling them out. And we're in that era now. We're gonna see a lot of this. So the left is very happy. Wendy Rogers on Twitter said, it is impossible for a former president to be arrested with the powers. It's really crazy. So the tweet I was going to read, I'm going to not read it because I don't know what the algorithm will do with it, but it's another doctored tweet, and it's labeled as parody, but it's doctored with Wendy Rogers talking about the 17th letter club. Any handcuffs placed on his wrist will immediately vaporize. We've got more under this hashtag. I don't know. Culturally, we can't coexist. These things these type of images, of course they matter. Of course they matter. I'd be the first one if it was on some real stuff to be like, yep, that's what happened. It reached the level where you had to do it to a former president, but it's not even close to that. So if you search Trump arrest on Twitter, you're going to see a lot of these images. Let me know what you think about those images. Going back through them again, just going backwards through the browser, a lot. The real AI ones actually look really good. I mean, they look very real. Back to MSNBC. Okay, MSNBC looks like they're on an internet break. Let me see if there's any other outlets out there. I just want to see what the vibe is. MSNBC, their vibe was really justification, legitimizing. That's the role of the media, is to legitimize what's happening. So to make it seem like very ominous and necessary and nothing's wrong here. And any type of Trump defense obviously would be twisted as some type of ploy or trick. As we look at that, let me go to the comments. The Tick says, long live the unknown pooper. Somebody buy the pooper a drink, man. They dropped a double deuce on Hillary and Chelsea, one for each of them. They left a gift. Let's just say that. It's human poop, believe it or not. But they left a little gift for Hillary and Chelsea, and that's what they're talking about. There's a clip here going viral, somewhat viral, mini viral. And Kirby, the press, what's his official title? Is he the defense secretary? Is he the defense press secretary? I don't know, but he seems to be the one that's taking over for Karine Jean-Pierre in a way, kind of doing half and half duty almost. Here's a little clip from John Kirby. And what is he talking about? He's talking about, of course, that institutionalization of the alphabet rainbow mafia.
And President Biden has been nothing but consistent about his foundational belief in human rights, and LGBTQ plus rights are human rights. And we, again, back to the earlier question, are never going to shy away, be bashful about speaking up for those rights and for individuals to live as they deem fit, as they want to live. And that's something that's a core part of our foreign policy, and it will remain so. And President Biden has been nothing but consistent about his belief found.
So that's the step there. That's him confirming basically LGBTQ rights are a core part of our foreign policy. I don't even know what that means. It's becoming a core part of every part of our lives. So you don't even need to say that. You don't even need to say it's a part of your foreign policy. It's a part of our lives. So let's listen in, checking in on the economy. I'm just going through on some stuff I have clipped up. Some of this is more recent. It's very short clip, 24 seconds. And this is, I need a nickname for her. Janet Yellen. What did she say? What's going on? Banks are kind of collapsing. The banks are getting bailed out. What's going on?
And take an economy that is performing very well. We've had the fastest recovery from a downturn that we've ever seen, and the fastest recovery of any nation around the globe. The unemployment rate is near a 50-year low. The economy is doing well. And take an economy that is performing very well. We've had the fastest recovery from a downturn.
That's her saying the economy is doing very well. Meanwhile, our culture is not doing very well. This video, I saw this from a while back. Clown World is resurfacing it from months ago. I saw it. What you see here is a big person, a very, very big person. I think I don't know what it is. A big person dressed up as a mermaid in a tank flying an LGBTQ flag. America the Beautiful. That's where we're at. I don't know. I think it's a biological male. I don't know what it is. It looks like it's projecting as a female mermaid. And that's just a little bit of our culture where we're at right now. So economy's going well. Okay, Janet, if that's what you say, our culture is not. And nobody's buying you on the economy. You look at Meta, all the big hitters are laying people off like it's nothing. Nothing like a big asteroid hitting the Earth. I have this article from New York Post saved. I'm just going through rattling off some stuff here and then I'll be out. New York Post says that maybe after we saw that big mermaid, your eyes might be hurting or maybe even bleeding, but maybe this will give you some comfort. Devastating asteroid hitting the Earth more likely than previously thought. Now, it wasn't very likely initially and still isn't now, but technically it's right. It's more likely than previously thought. Don't look up well, actually, when I go walking now, I look up a lot in the sky. I want to see if I see one of those balloons or a UFO. Don't look up. A top NASA scientist is warning that the threat of a massive asteroid striking Earth is much more fearsome than previously thought to be. In the words of James Garvin, chief scientist of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, it would be in the range of serious crap happening. Garvin, who presented new research on the matter at Lunar and Planetary Science Conference in the Woodlands, Texas, has strong concerns that previous impact sites actually stretched tens of kilometers further than believed. So what they do is they put this stuff in modeling, and they let the computer decide what's the chance of this hitting Earth. If it did hit Earth, what would happen? He also speculates each event of impact was substantially more violent as well. They may have been 10 times more destructive than the largest nuclear bomb ever detonated. Such topographic data permits reassessment of the role of such impacts in recent Earth history and presents implications for planetary defense. So they just put the previous details we have in an algorithm, basically coding, and it says, oh, this is what we think would happen. So that's basically they're saying it's more likely to happen. And based on what's going on in the world, some people are actually calling for it to happen. Not going that far. I think we should fight for life. But let me know what you think. I'm going to be out. Just had to go over a little bit of the spice that I saw. And we'll be covering the news with Pappy. I want to get a little bit more detailed. I want to get detailed about we don't even know what the charges are yet, but what's going on in Manhattan DA, what's rumored going on out of Georgia, of all places. I can't believe they're allowing that to happen. Fulton County, they're allowing a county to get involved and do this, and then the DOJ. But thanks for stopping by to the channel. Always appreciate you. Take care.